Welcome back to the show. Before we take our conversation forward, here's a look at how Michael gets his hands dirty on the shop floor. It's Monday morning, and Michael Boneham takes the first flight out of Delhi and heads to Chennai. As the city starts to bustle, Michael makes his way from the boardroom to the plant floor at Madamalai Nagar, Ford's first manufacturing plant in the country. Spread across 340 acres, this plant came into action in 1998. Home to 5,000 employees, capacity has ramped up from 100,000 cars to 340,000 today. And it's down this assembly line that Ford manufactures its most popular models.
Every 2 weeks, I come down here for 2 days. I go out on the shop floor, I spend time learning a job or learning some jobs, learning about the area that the people are working in, talking to them about any concerns they have, doing recognition events on the shop floor.
He just wants to know about the employees.
He wants to know how the workers on the line feel and see what the work environment is like. When we see that he wants to understand our point of view, we know that he cares for us, and I think that's his best quality.
Point of view lende namakkaga yosikranga.
We're in the body shop today, and what I was doing there is a sub-assembly for a component that goes into the Figo. These are jobs which are very difficult for people to do continuously, so we use robots, and I get to experience what life's like on the shop floor, doing a job.
Here everybody is called by their first name. There is no sir culture here. We call Mike by his first name, and that's what I like most here.
I think I'm a friendly sort of guy and an open guy, and I find that makes people feel at ease, makes them feel more transparent.
Having the dinner and lunch in the canteen itself, talking to people, under his leadership, people are very, very comfortable in telling their problems and solving it out.
From the cleaner in the plant right through to the executive director of manufacturing has the capacity and the capability to come and talk to me at any time. I don't think of myself as a person who's sitting up and should be given any pretense. It's not at all like that. It's just not my style. My father wouldn't allow that anyway.
Okay, so you started your career as a school teacher, never got an engineering degree, never got an MBA. Right. How did you end up working with cars?
Well, it's been a long journey. I think when I first joined Ford, I joined in Sydney at an assembly plant as a training and development officer. And obviously my degree in education psychology was appropriate. I was very surprised that I actually got the job. It was my first ever interview for a job outside teaching, obviously. So I spent about 8 years in human resources, then moved into manufacturing, which is almost sort of unbelievable for most people to understand. And it was an area, I have a significant interest in cars, obviously, so whilst I didn't have an engineering degree, I had a good understanding of what made them come together. Mm-hmm. Moved across to Land Rover, when we purchased Land Rover Jaguar, then over to the US and then Thailand. And then now here in India. Came here to India in a general management role and then took over the MD's role about 4 years ago. Mm-hmm. In a very short time.
Yes. What are some of the most interesting roles you've had?
Well, yeah, that's been great. I guess there's been three that stand out for me. One was when I went to Land Rover Jaguar in Solihull in England to be the manufacturing director for vehicle operations, launching the new Range Rover. We took over from BMW, and for me that was just an unbelievably challenging experience. We moved from Australia to England. I had to deal with a different workforce, a different culture. Second was the Mustang, moving across to the US. Went there and launched Ford's iconic vehicle, the Mustang, in the factory in the joint venture we had with Mazda in Michigan. That was just superb. Love that vehicle, love driving it every day, still love that vehicle. And then finally here in India, the Figo, a game changer for Ford Motor Company. And for me, that is just a real highlight that I'm living right now.
Any plans of launching the Mustang in India?
Well, it's still left-hand drive only. That said, there's a lot of people who talk to me who would love to have that product here. I think we'll have to look at the roads and look at the whether we can get right-hand drive and so on, but never say never. Never say never.
And you've worked with Ford for over 2 decades now in 4 different countries.
Yeah.
Tell us how you've had to change your leadership style to adapt to an Indian working culture.
For me, one of the things I really found is people have to have a great deal of confidence before they tell you there's something wrong. They hesitate. If they don't feel confident, they're not going to be punished for bringing things out. So one of the things I've worked really hard on with the team, all the way through all levels, is transparency. We can't deal with a problem if we don't know about that problem. And fear is not a way to run a business. If people are fearful, they'll hide things and you can't address the issues.
And any leaders that you've worked with at Ford that have really inspired you and qualities you try to imbibe?
Alan Mullally, we were so fortunate to have, and Bill Ford just did the most fantastic job getting Alan Mullally from Boeing to come and work for us. I mean, we were a company in severe, severe trouble when Alan arrived. And you know what the one thing, there's a whole lot of things that he just imbibes unbelievable sense of leadership, but his eternal optimism. Even when in the darkest days, the most difficult times, he was a light in the room. He was someone that you just looked at and say, I want to be with this guy and I want to share his passion and I want to make sure that I'm on the journey with him. So that eternal optimism, again, for me, is one of the things I've learnt from him. And you have to demonstrate that as a leader to your people, because if you don't, who will? And so Alan, I would say, a standout, absolute standout, and what a tremendous opportunity for me to see him work up closely.
And with that, we'll head into another short break, but stay tuned for more on Michael's Fun Side.